Are you ready for some good news? If you suddenly find yourself in a greater challenge than you originally expected, take heart. You're just in overtime, and God is there with you. Here's today's text from 2 Samuel chapter 2, verse 11. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. A couple of years ago, I was primarily pulling for 2 basketball teams during the NCAA. My alma mater, UNC, and my son's school, Baylor. Both my teams had the heart-stopping, exasperating experience of unexpected overtime. First, Baylor Bears up by 3 points with seconds left, and their opponent's 3-point attempt ricocheted off the rim out of bounds. And with less than 2 seconds left, the only way the Bears could lose was to throw the ball inbounds and have it stolen so their opponent could get a last-second 3-pointer. And believe it or not, that's exactly what happened. The buzzer sounded and the game went into overtime. And in that particular season, the next week, my Tar Heels experienced nearly the same frustration. Sometimes life's like that, isn't it? You think you've arrived, the win is in the books, and suddenly there's an unexpected twist and you find yourself in overtime. You thought the relationship was healed, only to find out another difficult conversation is needed. You land the big account, only to find out a competitor's trying to steal it. The child's finally grown, but then their marriage is in trouble. Overtime can be the hardest time of all because you feel like you've run out of steam. And it's what's happened to David. He'd been anointed as a youth, promised the throne, persecuted for years by King Saul, and the time had come to take the throne. But the Lord said to take the throne in Hebron, not in Jerusalem. He'd be the king over Judah, but not over all of Israel. He thought he'd arrived, only to find out he had 7.5 more years to wait for the full kingdom. If you find yourself in overtime, don't despair. David eventually took the throne in Jerusalem. Eventually, you'll take hold of every one of God's promises. If you haven't reached the goal yet, you haven't lost. Take a long, deep breath. You're just in overtime. God's promises are still true. It might just take longer than you think, but don't despair. You're going to win it in overtime. That's the gospel. That's today's good news, and to get more like it, click right here, or better yet, just subscribe to the channel, and I hope that even if you're in overtime, you have a great day.